morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Thursday Spiritual Matters here at the Daily Huddle. I'm your host, Dr. Monikah Ogando, and I'm so excited to be here with you today because we're going to be talking about abscond responsibility, authorship of our own experience by claiming incapacity instead of unwillingness. Have you ever done that? Have you ever said, I can't, when what you really want to say is, I won't? When what you really want to say is, I just don't want to? Right? Why do we do that? Well, one of the reasons is because sometimes I don't. For some people, they make up that it sounds rude. For some people, it sounds uncaring or like they're not empathizing with the person's challenge or obstacle or whatever, and they know that they can do something about it. They just don't want to. They don't want to because of the time that it takes, because you don't feel that type of way about that person, because sometimes, let's be honest, you don't want to help them. You feel like they haven't deserved that from you, or they've misused it in the past, or whatever the case may be. But instead of actually saying, I don't want to, we say, I can't. The kids got something that weekend, or I already have a previous commitment. The previous commitment is to say no to you. That shouldn't be that funny. Um, and let's talk about, why do we do that? What is it that we make more important than our truth, than our authenticity, than our honesty? Hi, Rose. Nice to see your face. Look. Um, if we were to, if we were to speak honestly about what is actually we would risk our image of a good person, of a kind person, of a helpful person, of a useful person, when we say I can't versus I won't. It's almost like it's it's beyond you. It's above your pay grade at that point. Yeah. And so, like I always do when we come here on Thursdays, I'm going to challenge you to insert more truthfulness in your communication. Relationships would be revolutionized if you were willing to say, I do have this, and here's why. What? Can anybody say somewhere in the chat while I stir my hot beverage? Can anybody say in the chat if they would be willing to do that? If they're willing to try it? Not everybody, maybe just the people that you feel safe with to be able to be that level of honest, but would you be willing to say, I can help, or I can be there, I can make it to that party or to that event or to that I just don't want to, and here's why. Shay says yes. Maria says, say it again. Oh, Maria, well, let me do that. Okay, yeah. Here's what I posit. Here's my assertion. There are many unspoken agreements to which we enslave ourselves. There are many unspoken expectations to which we tend. When we speak our truth, when we speak honestly, and here's where some people talk about the brutal truth, be brutally honest. Honesty doesn't need to be brutal. Let's start there. But when you are willing to be raw and honest and authentic like that, a couple of things happen. The thing you think wouldn't happen, which is you think it'll drive you further apart from this person in some way, it actually brings you closer together. It actually creates intimacy, to be honest. to have integrity, to say the hard things. It actually creates connection, it creates empathy, it creates intimacy. Quite the opposite. Now, it may be a little turbulent to get there because, again, it's not just you that has expectations, the other person has expectations too. But when they can hear your heart, that you're speaking honestly from vulnerability, from openness, from connection, not from an FU. Because we can hear the FU and I can't either. Okay, don't be fooled into thinking that you're opting for the more polite version. It's still an FU underneath it. Okay, we're talking about intention, and then we're talking about public displays of affection. So you actually create more intimacy and connection when you are in your integrity. And also, you create transparency in your relationships in a way that creates unbreakable trust. I heard somebody say once to me, the people that most deserve the benefit of your doubt hardly ever need it. I'm going to say that again because it's a doozy. The people that most deserve the benefit of your doubt hardly ever need it. There are some people in my life, I'm sure there are people in your life, that they'll say something crazy. They'll say something, maybe it sounds unlike them, maybe it sounds hurtful, but because you know that person, because you've had an experience of that person, because you have a relationship with that person, there's a pause inside of you that says, hold up, I know Chase didn't mean to tell me XYZ like I heard it. And you give that person the benefit of the doubt. And what I have discovered is true about that statement is that the people, geez, is that, I had to use you as an example, honey, that the people who most deserve that benefit of the doubt don't give you a reason to need to use the benefit of the doubt. That's what I'm saying. And the reason you do that is because you speak authentically, because you speak honestly. It's a little bit like how people say, oh, I don't know if I can make that. I'll let you know. And then you never let them know. Just say no. They know it's no. And it's like this, image bullshit conspiracy of, okay, you'll save face and I'll save face by not challenging you on it. But we're still shoveling BS up in each other's face. Stop it. Stop it. You're part of the Daily Huddle family. You're above that now. So let me give you some language around it. Because somebody said I'm inching up to it. Okay. Let me give you some language around it. It might sound like, I want to share my truth with you, but I don't want you to not like me. Or I want to share my truth with you, but I don't want you to be mad about it. I don't want to hurt your feelings. And I know I'm not responsible for your feelings, but are you still willing to hear it? Like when you open it up that way, now you're co-creating the moment of intimacy instead of you thinking that you have to insert your truth into a conversation that perhaps may be unwelcome. Create space for consent. You are creating trust. You are creating truth. It's like my mug says. So that's some language that you can use. Another, in some relationships, you may not want to give them the space to question you, to challenge you, to ask more questions, to investigate, et cetera, et cetera. I have friends like that. I have friends that I don't want to tell you my business. I'm friendly with you. We'll hang out. We'll go to a yacht party. We'll take trips together and everything else. But there are pieces of my life that you don't have access to, right? And so, some language that you can use around that is like what I just said. There are pieces of just like there are pieces of your life that I don't have access to, and I don't intend to violate your right to give or to deny access. In the same way, there are pieces of my life that you don't have access to, and it's okay. We're still friends. I still like you. We still hang out. So sometimes that kind of reassurance is helpful. for people to know that this isn't, not doing something out of resentment. You're not doing this out of tit for tat. You're not doing something out of, there's nothing wrong. I just don't want to. And if you remember when you were a child, perhaps you were forced to do certain things out of a relative that you didn't like, or that gave you the heebie-jeebies. Do we still say heebie-jeebies? I don't know. But there are things that we were told to do when we were children that our agency, our autonomy was not recognized, that the social constructs were more important and somebody else's ego or image was more important than our truth and our honesty as a child. That our truth as children was seen as disrespectful or as out of turn or as, just children's gibberish or whatever the case may be, that you weren't honored in your truth in that way. And when you were trying to make sense of your emotions or your reactions, because you didn't have language for it and you didn't have the cognitive ability to move through your emotions, you weren't taught to manage that. You were taught to tamper it down, to hush with all that talking back. When you ask the simple question, that's not talking back, that's not being disrespectful, I'm just asking a question. Do you know who taught me that? My own daughter. I remember one time when she was very little, I asked her to do something and she asked me a question. I was like, girl, if you don't get out of here challenging me, da, 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 da. And she said, Mama, I'm not questioning you, I'm asking you a question. She was like 6. How do you know that distinction? You're 6. And I'm a generation older than you. How come I don't have that distinction? Right? We have this idea of like parent-child is a hierarchical relationship instead of a symbiotic one or a cyclical one. That as we teach our children, our children also teach us. Right? It took me a while to learn that about my own relationship with my children, and I assert it's the kind of relationship that we have with everybody, even if in the social structure there is some kind of hierarchy, a boss, a superior, a commanding officer, et cetera, et cetera. You might have a particular title, ma'am, sir, but you're not above me. We are. So you're my brother when it comes to that. You're my sister when it comes to that. We just play different roles at this point. And so when you can approach somebody in authority with your own built-in manufacturer installed authority, it requires that you be truthful and honest and transparent, because otherwise it's going to sound like you're just putting on airs. If you don't know that you have that authority in yourself, you don't believe it yourself. You're just being ornery. You don't like people telling you what to do. And some of the reasons, coach, an old mentor of mine, I shouldn't say old, she's not old. It's just that it was a long time ago. She said to me, the reason why you don't like people telling you what to do is because you don't know what to tell yourself what to do. I beg your finest pardon. How you might cool it like this? And so, what is the difference between I can't and I won't? Do you that you have not the capacity to do something? Do you really mean that? Because that's what I can't means. It means I do not have the capacity. It also, underneath it, means I'm not interested in getting the capacity. I'm not interested in figuring out how to get the capacity. We're just going to take the can't. And so I challenge you to explore the places where I don't want to is the honest thing to say. And that you've been unwilling to say the honest thing because of what it'll cost you. But you haven't considered what you'll get in return. more intimacy, more connection, more truth, you actually create permission for the other person to also be honest and authentic and in their power. It's a little bit like that quote that has been attributed to Marianne Williamson when she says, when you're in your power, you create permission for others to do the same. Paraphrasing. It's the same deal. Be with yourself about this. My commitment in being here with you every Thursday is to open up some part of your own consciousness, some part of your thought process, of the way in which you process and down emotions, such that the level of awareness of it raises enough to bring you to the possibility of bigger choices. You have a bigger impact. But in order to do that, right, just like trees, the deeper the root, the higher the tree goes. In the same way, in order for you to go higher, you're going to have to dig deeper, right? In order for you to go higher, just like a tree, you're going to have to dig deeper, just like the roots. And so, in order for you to have a higher level of communication skill, a higher level of being able to command authority, command intimacy, command connection on demand, just by your position, just by your way of being, just by the way that you connect with your physical presence, your way of being, etc. In order to do that, you're going to have to be in possession of yourself. And what that means, being different. Just like that song in the 80s. Do you remember? You take the good, you take the bad, you take it all, and there you have the facts of life. Do you remember that? I'm telling them myself with my age. And so I don't want to deal with this person outside of work. Don't invite me to no after hour nothing with people from work. I can barely stand to see you from 9 to 5, not alone 6 to 9. You may not, but it's much more honest to be able to say, I don't really want to go to after hours. I feel complete with work when work is done. And even if it's after hours and even if it's happy hour, et cetera, it's still with people from work. And it feels like I'm still at work. And I don't want to feel like I'm still at work. So I'd rather go home. You could say that instead of saying, I can't stand to see your face another minute. You know, read the room. To all of us here, family, let's talk like we're across, the dining room family table. What's from speaking your truth in this way? How come you say I can't when you really mean I won't? I'll take anybody. Unmute yourself and come on stage. Mhm.
Yeah. My answer is this, and Graham Rising to you. Thank you so much for being here. My quick answer to that is people say can't instead of won't because they're much more comfortable with their limitations than their possibilities.
And when we say people, we mean I.
What did you say?
I said, and when we say people, we mean I.
I say people because I run into that a lot with myself personally. I am very. I have done what you said before, like not wanting to bruise certain people by saying
Mhm.
that. That's my truth. I have done that. But then I realized that I'm assuming that I'm bruising them sometimes when I'm not. I'm just bruising myself.
Great insight.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I've seen that. Yeah, definitely
Yeah,
so.
I'm hurting my own feelings, right?
Right. I was speaking to somebody a few weeks ago about pricing as a
Mhm.
musician, and he said to me, I want to say it's 6,000, but they probably can't afford that. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. wait a minute.
Mhm.
Do you know them? And he was like, no. Well, kind of, but I don't really know. I said, how do you know they can't afford it? So you're going to take less money because you think they can't afford it? And he was like, yeah, but I really want this gig. And then he just started going back. And I was like, wow. And that really, I really felt that because I used to do that. And I saw it. I exposed itself in front of me. I was like, ooh, that's why I said it to him really quickly. And that kind of is a connection to what we're talking about with people when you say I can't versus I won't or I don't want to. Sometimes I think just my friend used to tell me, no is a complete sentence.
Right. That's a good one.
Right.
Yes.
Can you come to the thing Friday? No, not this Friday. And then that's it. And people go, but why? And then that's when you have to back away. Like, look, I gotta go. I'll talk to you soon. Because if you get in it, oh yeah, you'll get stuck in the mud on that one. That's happened to me before too.
That's a great one. No, I think that's a case by case basis that you have to walk away because some people will dig because they want compliance.
Yes, absolutely,
Um,
absolutely. It's a
and
case
then
by
there are some
case,
people who can respect your no, it's just like, yeah, it's a case by case.
case
And,
by case.
I, I am the say everything friend. In my friend group, I am the say everything friend. I'm the go deep immediately friend. Bring your scuba gear immediately. She does not believe in small talk. Um, and I have been guilty of saying something like that. Like, wait, do you just want my compliance, or are you interested in why my yes is a yes or why my no is a no? Where are you with this right now? And sometimes that causes them to back up too. It's like, wait, whoa, whoa. I don't want to be the asshole. I'd rather make you the asshole by challenging your no, but I don't want to investigate why it's so important for me to get your no. You know what I mean? So when we start talking about the conversation underneath the conversation, this is what creates connection and intimacy with people. Because like, oh wow, you're making me think about why I'm doing what I'm doing. So thank you for that offering, Chase. I appreciate you.
Hmm.
Maria Sangria, where are you?
Greetings. Here I am. So I really like taking a close up look at this. And it's like, well, why would I even do that? And then it's like, uh-oh, it's just because I want to look good to avoid looking bad. And then I can think of whatever excuse that will
Yeah.
get me off the hook. And then it's just like, hmm. So that's what I'm really present to right now, Dr. Monikah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. We do that a lot of times. It's amazing how much of our social interactions are driven by image, right?
Yes.
When we're little, we couldn't find one FUCK to give about our image. We were like everywhere. It's like we didn't have that connection to image yet. We're like, have you seen the children in the grocery store? Mama, why she look so fat? Girl, stop saying that. At least out loud. Whisper it to me, right? And so that's how we get trained to put image above authenticity. And we have to unlearn that. So thank you for that, Maria. Rose,
You're
come on up.
welcome. And one more thing, Dr. Monikah, thank you for
Yes, yes.
saying that. Yeah, thank you for saying that it really brings us closer. We get connected and it's more intimate to be honest, authentic, and just say what's right there instead of covering it up and saying something else just to look good to avoid looking bad. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. In fact, sometimes they can hear the hesitation. You can hear the hesitation with people when they want to say one thing to you, but they say another. And so to presence that, to be able to say, I really want you to say yes, but I'm okay if you're at a no. That creates intimacy too. It's like, oh, okay, my truth is safe with you. Okay, I can go there with you. Awesome. So thank you. Rose, you had your hand up?
Yes, I put the comment in the chat. I'm inching up on it. So my doctor, the pressure is too high in my eyes, and it's destroying my nerve in my right eye. And so I've been on eye drops, and I go back to the doctor, and she checks my pressure, and the right eye is not coming down fast enough. So she prescribes a second drop. I go to use the second drop, and I got very uneasy, so I didn't. And an appointment with my naturopath a couple of days later, and I shared with her that I didn't start taking the second drop, and she added something natural to regimen that she said might help until I go back to the doctor again and decide what I want to do. So I go back to the doctor, and she said, "So how's it going with the eye drops? I'm going to test your pressure." And I said to her, "I've been obedient."
You've been what? What'd you say?
Willfully disobedient. And she said, "Well, it's going to be much easier to treat you if you tell me the truth. So thank you for that." Right. But in this conversation, I realized that when I say I'm inching up, what I could have said is, I filled the prescription, but I didn't use it. And here's why. That really straight. Willfully disobedient is a cute way of I want to tell the truth, and I really am, and I'm kind of not completely comfortable doing that. You know, so
Give
I
it the
see
judgment so that you don't judge me. Yes.
Yes, that's the inching.
Yes.
I got it just straight.
Yeah, and you know what I've discovered too, Rose, maybe you can relate to this, is that sometimes the reason why these conversations can feel awkward or difficult is because people don't necessarily have a language, or they're out of practice with using truthful, descriptive language for their emotional state of being. You know,
Yes.
when I say, for example, to someone, or this just happened to me yesterday, that somebody said to me, I invited her somewhere, and she said, "I want to hang out with you, but I don't want to hang out with you there or that time or in that place. And I don't want you to ask me about it." And I was like, well, that's very clear. I was impressed with like how clear she was, and like, Melody, it's like, okay, well then let's create another possibility where we can hang out together that's not in that time, that place with those people. So that's what I mean about like it opens up that connection, right? And she was, to your point about like the willfully disobedient versus saying I got the prescription and I just didn't use it. Is that she didn't judgment, right? It wasn't like, but I don't feel comfortable with those people. She didn't say any of that. She just said, I want to hang out with you, and I don't want to do it in that place over there in that event. That's very clear. And I just love, there's like such a tender place in my heart when people could just get to the bottom line. Shay says, "Is everyone experiencing video lagging?" Yes, somebody else mentioned this to me. So I don't know if that's happening, but we're about to end. So thank you for your patience. Rose, anything else?
No, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you for that. Who else? Anybody else have anything? Are we complete? Last call for alcohol. If you have to get it out, this is your time to do it. Okay, fantastic. Thank you for being here, everybody. I really, really appreciate the times that we have together on Thursdays when we can like get down to the nitty-gritty of our consciousness, of our communication, of our spiritual unfoldment. And I send you off to the rest of your week with the invitation to speak your truth in a way that feels true to you and that creates connection, authenticity, and intimacy in your relationships, in your partnerships, in your work, in your friendships, etc. Remember to love generously, laugh a lot. It's okay to guffaw. Look at it. It's okay to guffaw. Exercise. Remember that twerking is a Kundalini raising exercise. It is a spiritual practice to twerk. Don't let anybody fool you. Drink your water. Eat more plant-based food. Stress less. Sleep at least 7 to 9. Always question your assumptions. Audit your assumptions. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Love you. See you next time.
Thanks, Doc.
Thanks, everybody.